Do you ever feel like you're juggling a million versions of yourself and still dropping the ball? Like you're switching hats all day, professional, partner, parent, friend, and no one really sees what it takes to just be you? Yeah, me too. Welcome to Hatrack with Hannah. I'm Hannah, therapist, entrepreneur, author, podcast host, and also a mom, partner, daughter, friend, basically a professional hat wearer. I created this space where you don't have to minimize what you're carrying or rush past it. Because the truth is, you can have big dreams and feel overwhelmed by the roles it takes to hold them. Both get to exist. Here we slow it down, call it what it is, take some hats off, and figure out what actually belongs in your rack. So take a deep breath. You can set something down here, and let's get into it. Hello, beautiful humans. Today is our Hatrack Submission Day. And oh my gosh, the outpouring of love and submissions has my heart so full. So thank y'all so much for submitting your hats. And I'm really looking forward to working through them. Today I have 3 questions. It looks like 2 anonymous and 1 from a listener. And we're going to really get into them. So our first one is, hi, Hannah. So excited for this pod and thanks for taking my question. Always love it. I wear multiple hats, as you call them, and I'm wondering how you navigate roles where you feel like it's such a hard code shift. For example, I shift from running my accounting business into being present with my partner. I feel like I'm a different person in the role I play. What are some tips to make these transitions easier and feel better? Thank you so much, Anonymous. I appreciate your question and for you tuning in. Code shifting is really hard. So, for those of you who don't know what code shifting is, it's basically when you go from role to role or wearing hat to hat and doing so in a way where you can be fully present. So, like when we are going from work to home, if you don't have a commute, let's say you're working at home, right? It can be hard to okay, I'm turning accounting brain off and I'm turning partner mode on, for example. And sometimes that can be really difficult when we're really immersed in what we're doing. And so then when we are shifting, it can feel we hit like a stuck point almost because it's not as fluid as we want it to be, I guess you could say, or as easy to like a light switch to turn it on and off when we want to, when we want to be present. So some tips for code shifting would be we have to make sure role 1 is off before we jump into role 2. So for example, when I am in my therapy practice, I normally, and this is very controversial amongst therapists, and I get it, I know why, but before I leave for the day, I write all of my notes, write them all. And the reason I do that is I get it all out of my body, and then I can close those clients for the evening. And then on my drive home, I listen to my music or I call a friend. I'm a really big girly with calling humans on drives. It's only a 15-minute commute, but I take that time to, okay, work's done. I've checked my emails. I've submitted my notes. I've checked my text messages with clients. Done. Have a minute for me, listen to my music, call my humans. And then the second I walk into the door, I am mom, partner, everything I need to be there so I can be 100% present. So create a transition piece between the roles that you're holding. So when you are running your accounting business, create a transition, close it out for the day, go for a walk before you step into time with your partner. And then when you step into time with your partner, also make sure they're being intentional with you and be vulnerable and communicative with them. Hey, I'm really struggling with code shifting after work and then to being present with you. Can we take a walk together and reflect on the work day? Or I'm going to go take a walk on my own. And when I come back, let's be present together and do something just you and I. So then you also know your partner's present. Because oftentimes, too, when we're code shifting and it's something where there's another person involved, if they are still into their workday, for example, it's going to be harder for you to also shift. So if you can get them to shift with you, why not? And you can have great communication around that. that is even better. When I work with a lot of my couples, I always make sure that they're communicating their needs. And if you're struggling with something, this is even as small as code shifting, it's not small. And being present with your human is something that feels really good. And when we can't do that, that's where guilt and shame come through. And we don't need to do that if we don't want to, right? Another way you can navigate code shifting specifically from work is communicating with your clients or whoever your supervisor, whatever it is, that you are off on at 5 o'clock, and that is when you're off. So making sure your boundaries are really strong. So no one expects you to answer a Slack message at midnight. When you turn off, you turn off, period. So in summary, make a transition for yourself. Make sure you turn all the way off. Set the boundaries you need to turn all the way off. Communicate to your partner in this example that you are struggling with code shifting. So either get support to do in your transition or let them know this is what you're doing in order to be more present. And then actually to be more present together, come up with a plan. I would say that would be my biggest tips for that example. Let me know what you think. Send me your response. And we are going to move on to our second question. This question is from Katie. She is out of Florida. Hi, Katie from Florida. I'm a high-level content designer, mother, and partner. I'm struggling to work, mom, partner, take time for myself all at home. I do everything from home. Oh, shoot, girl. Okay. How do you juggle this? Okay. Big piece of this, which is not accessible to everybody, is I would get out of your house. If that means you start your day out of your house, you go for a walk in the morning, great. If you go for morning walks, lunch walks, get out of your house for something. Or if you can even find a co-working space or go to a coffee shop at work for a little bit, have some part of your day be out of your home. The reason I say that is how I'm reading this. It sounds like you're in a place to already be making these shifts. So let's get you out of your house. Sometimes, too, a really good thing that is helpful when you're kind of managing all the hats in the same space is time blocking for you. And how I usually do that is there's multiple different kinds of time blocks: emotional, social, physical, spiritual, kiddo, work, right? So basically, a time block that's affiliated with every hat that you hold. Where am I doing that in a day? So if I need to fill my cup emotionally, and that's not in my day, and that's a need that I have, not everyone has that need, then how am I doing that? Let's say I need to have social like twice a week. And for me, that's not like a networking event. For me, that's like a one-on-one coffee date. Okay, where am I doing that? Physical, like if you're coping with physical movement, girly, okay, how are you moving your body? When are you moving your body? Where? Get out of your house. And if it's in your house, then what other block throughout your day is out of your house, right? If you're religious or spiritual or whatever you practice, making sure you have time for that within your week and whatever that looks like. Hopefully, that can be a community piece where you go do something with your community and get out of your space. If not, who can you tap into in that community to ask to get out of your space? And then with kiddos, get outside, go to the park, go to the driveway, go to, let's say you don't have a driveway, right? For us, we live in Denver. Driveways aren't always a thing. Get outside somehow. And taking them outside too will also help them. So, not a bad idea. And work. Let's say you are working remote and that is like what it is. Okay. But then I really want you to practice kind of what we were talking about in our last question, code shifting. Okay, I'm going to start my work day. Well, I'm going to take my lunch and I'm going to close everything out and I'm going to turn my brain on to something else. So maybe you fill your emotional block at lunch or even just your physical and go for a walk and eat lunch, just for easy examples, right? And then tap back into work. And then when you're done for your day, tap back out. So creating these pockets where it feels more sustainable and not just like, I woke up in my house. I got my kids ready for school. I went and dropped them off. I came back to my house. I started work. I didn't eat lunch today and I just worked till 5 or these days 3. And then I had to go pick up my kids and then I came home and I did the night routine and I haven't left my house in 5 days. Do not do that. Create the blocks that you need. Get out of your space and focus on the time blocks that serve you best and start implementing them into your week. Non-negotiable. Definitely work through that. Katie, let me know if you need any other support and let's see how that one flies. Our last question for the day is from Anonymous and it says, I loved your Mother's Day episode. Thank you. I appreciate it. And for me, it brought up fighting comparisons with other parents and close friends. Okay. I always feel the pressure to do what they are doing or I'm doing it wrong. Ouch. My hat I'm submitting is this self-judgment hat, but also kind of what I'm getting from my close friends. Please advise. Okay. Thank you for submitting your hat, Anonymous. I really appreciate it. This is a hard one because it requires you to look at who you're surrounding yourself with. I know, didn't want to go there, right? But the reality is, if you have friends in your close circle who are judging you for how you're parenting, and it's not yourself, we need to advocate for ourselves and speak up. Hey, when you told me that when he was about to eat something off the playground floor and I grabbed it from him and that wasn't gentle parenting, that actually felt to me like a criticism instead of a support. And here's how we can navigate this better next time. They're hard conversations to have with your friends, right? But if you're feeling critiqued in those moments, that's not fair to you at all. So let's start advocating for yourself. And if you feel that, like judgment, call it out. A really common one I see with a lot of parents. Let's say we're having a play date and they don't like how your kid's behaving. I'm going to use my daughter as an example. She's in her hitting phase, right? She hits everyone. And so we have to say gentle hands, and then hopefully she will get gentler. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But if I had another parent, depends on who it is, who's like, hey, like yelled at her, I'd be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. That's my role. I'm standing right here. Please don't do that. Or if it's a parent who I know, like I have a parent who, if they, like we parent very similarly. And so if she was like, gentle hands, I'd be like, cool. I wouldn't even say anything. I'd be like, great, right? But tap into where you need to set your boundaries around that. Because if it feels good and supportive of you and your parenting, great. And if it doesn't, name that and then set your boundary. Let's tap into the self-judgment hat. I would start to ask yourself questions of, why am I feeling this way? Am I actually feeling like I'm doing something wrong? Or am I feeling like someone else is just doing it differently? Oftentimes when we're parenting, you let me know if you ever got a book on how to do it, because I sure as hell did not. And so oftentimes when we're next to a friend or a parent, another parent, and they're doing something differently, I'm like, oh, I loved how you did that, right? Kind of like the TikTok sensation right now of like, Rachel. And then your kid stops what they're doing and they're like, where's Rachel? Such a funny one. But really allowing yourself to explore, am I actually comparing myself or am I learning? And kind of opening your mind to like, I can learn from them and that feels good versus compare myself to them. Not oh, they did that differently. I should be doing that. So ask yourself, can I learn from this? Does this serve me? Do I like that? Or if you have someone like critiquing you, right, that's never going to feel good. But then I want you to hit yourself with the question, okay, are they trying to understand my parenting and they're doing that? Or why are they doing that? Does this work for me? Does this feel good to me and my child? And really kind of get more curious with yourself in order to alleviate some of the self judgment because that's not fair to you. And self judgment's going to be there. It happens. But like I said, we never got a parenting book. That's not how it works these days. And then when you have close friends who are critiquing you or telling you how to parent or you're feeling that pressure from them or you, it's adding the other filter to see what you most align with and what feels out of alignment. I also, too, I would ask your partner, your family, your village, whoever parents with you, do we like this? Does this work? Or does this not work? And start to kind of evaluate your own parenting in an open, non-judgmental, key, non-judgmental way where you can evaluate what works and feels good to you. I hope that was helpful. Quick summary. When you're facing these comparisons, first check about your humans around you. Okay, do they serve me or not? Are they hearing my boundaries or no? What boundaries do I need to put in place? Where do I need to advocate for myself or speak up? Step one. Step two, how do I alleviate this self judgment? Let's be open and start to filter. Okay, does that work for me? Does that not work for me? Oh, I like that parenting skill. I'm going to try that and get a little bit more curious. Thank you so much, y'all, for your Hatrack submissions. Again, totally floored by the response and so excited by it. Please keep submitting. And if you want to support the pod, submit your Hatrack questions, listen to the pod, and go write us a review. Besides that, I hope you all have a fabulous rest of your day. And thank you so much for tuning in. See ya.